Today I will try to provide a descriptive picture of the position of Turkish media on the Armenian genocide. In my presentation there won't be any kind of distinction made like mainstream or alternative media, since when it comes to the Armenian issue I don't think that such kind of classifications result in meaningful, bring meaningful results. So in Turkey, we have a diversified media in terms of its political and economic structure. But again, when it comes to the Armenian issue, I think it's very possible to refer a mainstream attitude which is based on a nationalist perspective, which perceive state and society as an indivisible unit. And this perspective actually is more or less taken for granted and establish a pattern of thinking and attitude in the sphere of media. For instance, when you just scan the brand names of the several papers, you will see that they are the constant reminders of our nationhood, national ideals, and our place in the world. I will just read them in both English and Turkish. For example, Turkey, Türkiye, name of the newspaper, nationality, milliyet, freedom, hürriyet, the republic, cumhuriyet, Turkish Daily News, the meaning is obvious, the national newspaper, Milli Gazete, Middle East, Orta Doğu, and the New Asia. So even the names, show that, the mindset that is shared by most of the media organs are based on a national perspective. So the Armenian genocide, however, is a relatively new and disturbing topic for the Turkish state and society, and also for the Turkish press. For a long period, the issue was absent in the public sphere due to many reasons, like the lack of knowledge for years in the civil society, and of course the state politics, which are based on ignorance and denial. So in my presentation, I will try to just check the periods starting from 1965, then we'll continue with 1970s, which is the period. First of all, it's important to note that the first appearance of the Armenian genocide in Turkish media was the year 1965. It was the year of the 15th anniversary commemorations of the genocide. So it was the first meeting of Turkish media and the Armenian genocide issue with each other, let's say, in Turkey. So the second period was the 1970s, due to the violent attacks of the Asala, by the Armenian Secret Army for the Liberation of Armenia against Turkish diplomats. And in 1990s, it was the time that Armenian weekly Agos was established. It was also the year that International Association of Genocide Scholars recognized Armenian genocide, and this, had some shocking waves in Turkey. And finally, by the 2000s, and unfortunately with the assassination of Hrant Dink, it was another period that Turkish media deals with the issue. So let's begin with the first period. The 1965, as I said, it was because of the 50th anniversary of the commemorations of the genocide all around the world. So Turkish media began to deal with the issue. Actually, it became an issue for the Turkish press because the issue emerged as a problem for the state. So when you check the keywords and the content of the newspaper, you will see that, while reporting, first of all, they began to report the preparations for the anniversary in Egypt, in France, in US. And the press presented the issue as an attack coming from external circles. This is the primary, legs of the perception of the Turkish press during the time. So this external centers means that, I mean, during the time there was also a, conflict between Greece and Turkey because of the Cyprus issue. So these two issues are connected with each other, and Greeks were named as the provocators of Armenians. So you will see some headlines from the newspapers. Greeks emerged as the provocators because of the Cyprus issue. And apart from Greece, Israel and imperialist powers, chiefly Britain and United States, were the responsibles for the Turkish press. So the headlines like Armenians are instrumentalized. With the provocation of Greeks, Armenians will commemorate the 15th year of massacres. Provocation of Armenians has started. US president encouraged Armenians venture. So these were the headlines, and actually the first meeting with the issue, I mean, instead of checking the facts and instead of, practicing a critical journalism, the main thing that the Turkish press during the time was denial of the facts, first of all. No investigation or critical journalism, but misdirecting the readers and searching for speculative, theories. Who is the, powers behind this theory? So it was just a theory for the Turkish press. And they were always searching for a hidden agenda behind these, commemorations. And there are some cliches, actually. Inventing cliches is really important part of this process. The questions are raised in the Turkish press, why now? I mean, still, this is a very big, keyword that Turkish press still using. Why now? Why they didn't, commemorate the 25th year of the genocide, for example? So these were the questions that, was debated by the Turkish press. And of course, the so-called Armenian Genocide was invented during the time by Cumhuriyet newspaper. And the second step during the time, in order to deal with this Armenian issue, Armenian genocide claims, is to invite Armenians of Turkey to stand against all these claims. So the titles, I mean, in the newspapers, like, now the floor is given to Armenian citizens, and some other, you can just read them. So, it was a method to deal with the, Armenian genocide by means of using the words of Armenians who are living in Turkey and who were critical, in quotation. So also, when you check the media coverage, you will see that after a time they just did some classifications like good Armenians and bad Armenians. So the good ones are the internal Armenians, the Armenians of Turkey, and the bads are the, most, I mean, they were referring to the diaspora, of course. So actually the main function of the media during the time was trying to delegitimize of the claims of external Armenians by means of referring to the statements of the internal Armenians. And there is also another method that the Turkish press used during the time, the invention of the friendship discourse and rewriting the history and the shared past with Armenians. So Armenians as the Turks who are Christians, again, these are the headlines from the press. Armenians as the most assimilated minority with the ruling Turkish nation. Armenians who eat, drink, and behave like Turks. So instead of, confronting with the past, instead of talking about the facts, instead of searching for the reasons of the people, why, I mean, what is it, what is the pain about it, instead of all these things that normally should be done by, media, they were raising strange questions, and the titles were like that. And this friendship discourse is always, you know, is used nowadays. For example, now in order to deal with the Kurdish issue, we are saying that we're brothers. You know, we are inventing the brothership stories. So you can see the historical roots of it. And let me pass. And of course, the media coverage was full of the loyal, you know, Armenians who were going to visit Atatürk's monument in Taksim. This is also a cliche as well. If you want to prove that you are a loyal citizen to Turkish state, you have to go and visit Father Türk's, you know, monument. It's the best way that you can prove your loyalty. So unfortunately, Armenians did it. I mean, there was no chance. This is also another picture from the Turkish press that they just covered in order to show the readers that here are the Armenians, you know, coming together in order to commemorate the 15th anniversary of the genocide. And they were also trying to minimize the, you know, importance of the commemorations by means of putting some photos, which, I mean, they want you to think that it's not crowded that much, you know. Actually, it's a fiasco. I mean, nobody supported them. So after 1965, by 1970s, it was the period of the Asala attacks against Turkish diplomats. So it was a very, very big apparatus for the Turkish state, for the Turkish media to use it as a, you know, legitimization way of the genocide thesis. So when you check the titles of the newspaper, you will see that, you know, the incidents were named mainly Armenian terror, or what else? Just a minute, there should be another slide. These are the titles actually. Slavish, be ashamed, dogs, still hungry for blood, Armenian killers on stage again, murderer, maniac, Armenian. These were the, you know, headlines that were used to cover the news about the incidents, and these are some pages from the newspapers. And again, they invited Armenians of Turkey in order to, you know, see that, you know, this Asala attacks were really so bad. So Armenians, again, need to send their statements to the Turkish press that they were against all these attacks. So they need to prove their loyalty to Turkish state again. And all the, you know, cliches that I just described for the 1965 were used during this period. And it was also, you know, in 1980s, it was also the regime of coup d'etat in Turkey. So you will, we see that Turkey's media totally associate itself with the statist and militarist, you know, perspective, which is totally, of course, against any Armenian claims coming from different parts of the world. And I also want to show a picture to you. This is from 2013. Can you imagine? This is such a mindset that after years, I mean, after, I don't know, maybe more than 30 years, still the lawyer of the, you know, Asala members is being named like the, what was it? The evil lawyer of the Asala members.
Satan's lawyer.
Yeah. So still, it's the mindset. It was just, you know, 2013. So when we come to the 1990s, actually, it was the time that, you know, with the impact of the globalization, with the emergence of the private TV channels and radio stations, it creates a dynamic atmosphere in the media field with multiple actors, we can say. So many issues previously considered taboo become open to a debate. So the topics like Kurdish issue, Islamism, or the Armenian issue, began to be covered by the media. And it was, we can just define this period like the period of return of the repressed. I mean, if you hide the, realities, you can hide them for many years, but it's impossible to hide them forever. So there, I remember an Armenian expression says that lie has short legs. So finally, in 1990s, we began to talk about all these issues, and it was the period that Armenian weekly Agos established by Hrant Dink. And actually, we can say that for the first time, a real in-depth debate began in Turkey regarding the issue, and public awareness raised by means of the steps of Hrant Dink, which were really so careful, and actually they were small steps, but they were crucial. So he started discussing the issue with a reverse positioning by stating that he understood Turks who do not want to accept the Armenian genocide, since no one wishes to identify with the crime of all crimes. So it was a very, crucial impact on society. So people started to hear the words of Armenians more than before. This is something psychological, actually. So it was new, of course, for most of the people. Of course, most of the groups who, consumed national media for years, who grew up, under a very nationalistic education system, it was also hard to understand this tough past. But still, he opened a path. But in 2007, unfortunately, he was assassinated with a 17-year-old guy, nationalist guy. And actually, it was a result of a campaign which was based on media. And it started with Hrant Dink's news on, let me show you, on Sabiha Gökçen. Sabiha Gökçen is the adopted daughter of Atatürk. She is a holy figure for the Turkish Air Forces. So Hrant Dink published an article, in Agos, and was asking, actually, he was saying she has Armenian roots, and her name was Hatun Sebiljian. So it became a very, very big debate in Turkey. Hürriyet just put it on its headline, The Secret of Sabiha Gökçen, with the headline of Secret of Sabiha Gökçen. And the next day, Turkish military chief of staff office issued a strongly worded statement. And they were saying that, opening Sabiha Gökçen, claiming that she has Armenian roots, is actually something, is an attack against national unity, national peace in Turkey. And actually, they can understand what is the purpose of it. As a summary, you can actually read their statements here. And they were saying that these days, when we are in a need of a very strong national solidarity, the majority of our people understand the purpose of such news stories that are against our national integrity, solidarity, and national values, and follow these publications with concern. And headlines were like these. You can just scan them. I have a very, very limited time. And then, before he died, of course, after this Sabiha Gökçen news, Hrant began to be named as separatist, enemy, blah, blah. And he was the target of the nationalist, attacks because of insulting Turkishness. Actually, he had some cases. You already listened to all this story. And after Hrant Dink, let me show you the picture that is really symbolic for us. I mean, this guy is the killer of the Dink, and just next to him there is a gendarme, and on the other side there is a policeman. By itself, I think it says a lot, but let me just summarize all the things that I should say. I mean, still, after Hrant, you know, most of the newspapers were really so sad, and they were putting headlines like, bloody hands are in charge, those bullets are against Turkey, killer is a traitor, again bloody scenario. There is no biggest evil than this against Turkey. Okay, you know, most of the members of the Turkish press were really so sad, but again, instead of, you know, talking about Hrant and his death, they were talking about that it was an, again, attack against Turkey. I mean, yani, his death was not a big, you know, thing for the Turkish press. Maybe they were sad, but they were, again, carrying the national, you know, interests of the country. This is the summary of my presentation. Thank you.